I think the product that you've created with Zen Mist is fascinating, and everyone I talk to about it now is so interested and curious about it. And some try it and they're not as big of a fan of it. I use it every morning in my
Uh-huh.
meditations, usually one pump in each nostril. This morning I did 2 pumps in each nostril. I would love if you could just tell our audience
Yeah.
about Zen Mist and how you came upon it, and because I think it's just so
Wow.
inventive and interesting.
I am so glad that we're going to talk about this, because if we would have missed this conversation and not talked, it would have been a tragedy, right? Because there's such amazing applications in medicine work with this particular product, right? So, Hape, right? Anybody listening to this that doesn't know what Hape is, it's a blend of Amazonian herbs, and there's a sacred tobacco called mapacho, and it's generally blown in up your nose with a particular device, and it burns extremely bad, right? And so the first time I had it done, I was like, hell no, I'll never do that again. In fact, it was miserable. I was like, I will never do that again in my life. Like, why would anybody do that to themselves? And then fast forward a couple of years, it was shortly after I did my first journey, and it was one of the facilitators out at this place, and she was just going on and on about how she loved doing Hape. She'd do it in the morning. It just gave her this sense of well-being. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to be missing something, right? So I said, give me a little bit, right? And I took it back home with me, and I just took a teeny bit, and I just kind of sniffed it through a straw, right? And it was just like a tiny microdose, and I got it. Like, I felt it, and I'm like, now I see the upside to this. Like, I felt the calmness, I felt the focus, and we were already making nasal sprays with glutathione and NAD and things like that. So I'm like, this would make a great nasal spray. So I started working on, and we have 3 formulas. We've got the original Zen, which is really just straight mapacho, special mix, and it's our strongest version. And then we have an essential oil version, which is a bit minty. It's got some like rosemary and some other herbs in there. And then we have another one that's CBD, Zen CBD. So there's 3 versions there. And so what happens is when you spray it up the nose, there's a burning that occurs, and that burning is actually activating your brainstem. And there's a nerve nucleus in the brainstem called the trigeminal nerve, and it innervates your eyes, your face, your sinuses, your mouth, and it's kind of how Sananga works as well, which is an eye drop that burns. So, which we're working on a Zenanga formula, which I'll be sending you a beta test here pretty
I would love
soon.
that. Thank you.
Yeah. So for those that might be kind of interested in trying the Zen, when you get the Zen, there's also oxytocin that we put in this product, which helps to support this kind of calming sensation. But it works with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is kind of the home of the parasympathetic nervous system. So the opposite of the parasympathetic nervous system is the sympathetics, which is that fight or flight, which we're always in. Most of us get stuck in that, and you kind of need to be somewhat in that to function and accomplish things throughout the day. And so we want to support that parasympathetic nervous system as much as we can. And so breath work is a great way to do it. And then activating the trigeminal nerve, right? You can stick your face in ice water. This actually does it pretty nicely. The Zen, that burning sensation, along with the actual medicine itself that gets absorbed through the nasal passage, that combination very powerfully puts you into a very calm state, a very focused state, but you're also alert, right? You've noticed that, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah,
it doesn't burn as much as normal
and
Hape.
you don't get
So,
the throat drip near as much either. And
mhm.
and normally with normal Hape, you'll blow your nose and it'll be all of this powder that comes out. And with the Zen Mist, it's very clean and clear. There might be a tiny, but it's very clean. Has been my experience with it.
Yeah. And what's nice about it is it's so convenient. It's a little awkward to do Hape, because, it has to be blown up your nose and it's a powder and blah, blah, blah. So when someone's actually in medicine, right? So when we've facilitated people in medicine, we'll offer them the Zen. And we do it in our clinic with the ketamine journeys as well. It's fantastic in ketamine journeys. So sometimes people get to a certain block. I like to utilize the Zen after like a good round of breath work. I had recorded a show with Ben, right? And he was a huge fan of Zen. And we went out there and we decided to do like this really, really solid soma breath work in a sauna. And we took our Zens in there, right? And so we're like doing this like hardcore soma breathing. And then right at the end, we inhaled and then we sprayed the Zen up the nose, held it, kind of did the holotropic sip, sip, sip into the third eye, full exhale, hold as long as you can. And I was like full on just in the quantum
Kundalini.
At that point. Yeah, I was having a major Kundalini experience. And it was blissful. You feel just so connected. I mean, it's just such an amazing space to be in without any medicine. This is a natural state that we can achieve. The medicine shows you it's a signpost, like this is what's possible. Then the work starts. You integrate the experience, and then we want to be working towards getting and achieving this level without medicine.
And that is integration, right? And that's where the hot cold thermogenesis and the breath work and the meditation and the yoga and all these practices, the diet and exercise and sleep, or even going back to your metaphor around the three stools. That's another framework in which to look at it. We embody this higher self when we're working with medicine, right? This connection to something greater, and then stress and deadlines and bills and taxes and all these things kind of bring us out of that. And yet for us to feel like we're at our greatest, it's often the question remains, how do we come back into that state? And so the way that I do it, or the way that I like to bring myself, are those morning rituals, with the Zen Mist. I'm glad you brought up the sauna, because that's also sometimes I'll go in the evening. Like I'll do that after our conversation today. I'm going to go sauna, do a little breath work, and do a little more Zen Mist just to come back into that space. And it's easy, it's clean, it doesn't burn like normal hape does, and it's been a great ritual.
And what's beautiful about the Zen Mist is it energizes you, but it's not something that'll keep you awake. Like if you were to have coffee this late, it's really going to disrupt your sleep. But one of the utilities I found with the Zen is like if I'm at a cocktail party or if I'm out to dinner with friends, in like a social event, it kind of gets to that point. And I'm such an early riser anyway. Like sometimes I'm up at 4 a.m. And so people don't realize like I'm out and it's 9 o'clock or 9 p.m. Like that's like midnight to a lot of people, right? So I like having the Zen in my pocket because it just kind of brings me back for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then, of course, whenever you do that at a party, then people are like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, here, come try this. And it's always a big hit. People absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. If you want to stay up to date on the third wave of psychedelics, subscribe to this channel and visit thethirdwave.co, where you'll find plenty of free resources on intentional and responsible psychedelic use.